Mind. I mean, let's start at the very beginnings. From a coal miner's daughter, what prompted you as a young girl to say, you know what, this is something I'd like to do for the rest of my life? Is play music? Is be involved in music?
Well, I think honestly, I was probably influenced by my surroundings, and that was the only entertainment around my family was music. It was kind of like now that I've grown up, I use the word, just good therapy. And I just recall seeing a lot of people perform, especially when we finally got a TV into our house. I think I was about the age of 6 when finally we had television, and I got to see the shows of Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs with my dad, and Ernest Tubb. And, I mean, the list goes on of the music, but it was only like maybe, 15-minute shows. And the very first time that I ever saw anybody perform as far as a recording artist was Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs. And it was at the Pollyanna Drive-In Theater. It no longer exists, but there in Pikeville, Kentucky, where I was born. And I think I might have been about 5 years old, and my dad took us to the movies that night, but it wasn't to see the movies, it was to see them.
So you go from a coal miner's daughter to a rock and roller in the 70s, back to a traditional country performer in the 80s, now to bluegrass. Is there a favorite that you have over the course of your years? Is bluegrass now, is that your favorite?
Well, I love many different genres of music. I mean, I even listen sometimes to classical and jazz, which that I share with my husband sometimes. And with he being a musician and also a producer, we both tend to like just many different kinds of music. But as far as me performing personally, I think I like to mix it up. I like to mix it up with a little bit of country and a little bit of bluegrass. And I'm more Appalachian and mountain type sound than I would say bluegrass even. And then I like to put a little edge to it and use some of that influence that I got from rock and roll. And I had many brothers and sisters that are older than me, and they listen to different kinds of music as well, basically country and rock and roll. And of course, my dad loved bluegrass, and my mom did too. But I come from a family that just loved to hear a mixture.
When you first made your big splash on the country music scene back in the mid '80s, there were a lot of people said, this is the next Patsy Cline. It was.
Oh wow!
It's
That's
true.
Pressure.
Yeah, and how much pressure was that? Was that a heavy weight on the shoulders?
To me, there will only be one Patsy Cline, but it was really a compliment and an honor because maybe the reason was that I was influenced by Patsy Cline's music very much so at an early age when I used to hear my sister sing a lot of Patsy Cline, and she never really had the opportunities that I had to have a recording career, but she was an amazing singer, and she lost her life to emphysema back in 1996 at the age of 48. But for me, I was honored that they would even consider me to be a next Patsy Cline, and I guess I do tend to be sort of like a torch singer in a way, and Patsy Cline is known for that.
You seem to be really at the top of your game in the early '90s when you had to have throat surgery. Did you think at that time that your career was done, that you weren't going to be singing again?
I had a lot of faith that that surely this couldn't be over, and I think God has ways of making us take vacations. And when we kick and go, no, I got to keep working. And at that point in my career, things were just beginning to truly happen, and I was making a change in labels. And so, I think it was, and to me, and Emmylou Harris, who is a really good friend to me and has been over the years, she said, God has given you a vacation, so take it. And so I did, and I try to not stress out over it because stress is the worst thing for a voice. And I think for the most part that I had just stressed my voice out, and I had pushed it to its limit, and it was like, okay, you need to take care of this.
Sure.
So
I know
I was
that
blessed to get my voice back.
Yeah, and I know you couldn't communicate for quite some time. Do you still know Morse code?
A little bit,
Yeah.
I don't practice it as much as I should, but to me, I still think that is a wonderful form of communication, because it's the bits and the dots and it all adds together, and that form of communication. If you can't do anything else, at least I could tap out on my husband, or he could tap out on me. What he's trying to say.
Sure.
And it comes in handy, especially when someone, when he was undergoing surgery for pancreatitis back in 1996, he tapped out on me when they had him on a respirator. He tapped out on me, which I spelled it kind of wrong, or I misunderstood, and but he was saying too fast, and the doctor, the surgeon looked at me and he goes, "How do you know that?" And I said, "He's tapping out on me too fast. The respirator's too fast for him." So
isn't that something?
It comes in handy.
Yeah, it does. Well, and obviously God had a plan for you, because you come back with a voice bigger and better than before. It took you to Female Vocalist of the Year for the ACMs, the CMAs, and then it seemed that did country radio leave you behind? Did you decide to do something different? Give me an idea what happened there in your career.
Well, I think at the time, this was probably around 2003, that there was a lot more of new faces moving into the country music world, and I think the labels were probably pressured to just put out so much, and so you had to kind of make way for some of the newer faces that were coming into play. But at the same time, I think radio has been really good to me, and to this day, and with our technology and with the internet and everything and satellite radio, it's pretty amazing that I hear a lot of the truck drivers and the bus drivers who drive for the music world, that they'll say, I just heard a song of yours, Lonely Too Long. I heard I Try to Think About Elvis, or I heard Here I Am, or If My Heart Had Windows, and those are just great songs, and it makes me feel good to know that maybe 100 years from now, that maybe that music will stand the test of time, and that's a good feeling, and
Yeah.
I feel proud that that I have recorded music that lyrically and also musically, as far as the music, that it could stand the test of time.
I know that you've kept busy, not only on your own stuff, but on other folks' stuff. Jimmy Wayne's "Do You Believe Me Now?", George Strait's "Troubadour." Do you get that call often from somebody saying, "Hey, will you come do some backup for me?"
I do, and but now as I tell them, I said, as long as I can do it from my home, because I have a studio, and it's just great to be able to just to go in there and sing barefoot and not have to worry about putting makeup on for pictures or anything, and even if I want to sing in my comfies, my pajamas or whatever, and because I feel free at that point, and I feel looser, and I feel more comfortable, because I traveling so much. It just, again, technology has made it where it's just so much easier. But we do communicate on the phone, and even today, I still continue to record some things. I just did a thing with Chris Young that I believe is going to be in the movie of, I think the name of the movie is Strong Country, I believe, or Country Strong. I could have gotten it backwards, but it's with Gwyneth Paltrow and Tim McGraw, and that's due out in December. And I just recently did a song with Chris Young for that, a duet. So, I'm still out there, and you'll probably hear my voice on many things, and go, wow, who is that? It does sound like her.
Right. Well, and of course, Mountain Soul too is really, as I have had the opportunity to get pretty well acquainted with this over the course of the last 4 or 5 months. What a great album!
Thank you. And Mountain Soul, the first one was it's very special to me, and to me it was my first. But Mountain Soul too, that was due to the fact of a lot of fans out there was like, we'd love to hear you do another record such as this, and it's even the fans of the music that I've done in the past, I have kind of brought them over to this form of music which we call bluegrass, and it's great to see them appreciate a music that I was brought up on, and it warms my heart to know that I can still touch some young people, even as young as the age of 14, with Mountain Soul.
Patty Loveless with us on Sunday, August 8th, high atop Casper Mountain and the Bear Trap Summer Festival. If we come to the show, what can we expect? Can we expect country? Can we expect bluegrass? Can we expect rock and roll?
It's going to be a mix of all. It's going to be a mix of everything. Not everything, but a mix of quite a bit of what Patty Loveless has done over the past 22 years.
As you look over the past 22 years, is there something, is it an ACM award, a CMA award, is it a Grammy nomination, is it the idea of going into the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame next year that you point at and say, that was a milestone, or that was the peak of my career? Well,
as far as the Grammys, I've never had an album, a complete album that's won. I've been nominated, but it's as far as in country music and also in the bluegrass category. I've never won a Grammy, but I've been nominated. It's a wonderful thing, to me, to be even recognized and being nominated is a wonderful thing. I would love to even see an Oscar sometime for music that I've done. It would be a great thing.
It would
Maybe
be a great
that's
thing
something to shoot for.
By golly, and we'll look forward to it. Looking forward to having you in town as well.
I'm looking forward to it as well.